Hi, this is Jarrod Townsend, Director of Music at Christ the King Catholic Church, and welcome to Week 3 of Journey Through Lent with Song. And I'd like to get very quickly to this week's story because this was one of my favorites as a kid. This is action figure Jesus. He's throwing down tables, he's whipping people, he's saying, "Not my Father's house." This is great stuff. And I connected with this as a kid because the baby Jesus stuff at Christmas was fun. And the wedding at Cana, miracle, what was the miracle? He turned the water into wine. And I didn't get it because I didn't drink wine. Now, if he had turned water into Dr. Pepper, that I probably would have gotten excited about. But it didn't really excite me. It didn't really quite click, okay? I was a young boy, okay? But this really did connect with me, right? And it was Jesus in action. And all of a sudden I asked my parents, wait, why does he get to do this? Why is he doing this? He gets to do this. He gets to be angry at people. He gets to yell at them. Why does he get to do this? And my parents said, well, it's because what they were doing is wrong. And I said, selling things is wrong? Working with money is wrong? It's like, no. But they did it. Those people outside the temple were using God's name, using their location at the temple to take advantage of God for their own financial gain. They probably used words a little bit different to get through my 5- and 6-year-old brain, but it's still the idea. They weren't doing it for the glory of God, they were doing it for themselves. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. I get that. And as I was preparing my music for this week, taking a look at the readings, over and over again in the various commentaries, I kept coming back to this idea. Maybe Jesus was talking about the temple out there as well as talking about our temple. You see, when Jesus tells them, tear down the temple and I will raise it in 3 days, they say, it took 46 years to build this temple, and you're going to raise it in 3 days. They thought about the building, and he was referring to his body. And of course, we know St. Paul in his letter to the Corinthians refers to our bodies as temples. So for me, all of this starts to click and starts to make sense. Yes, using God's name in vain for your own greed is wrong. It's a violation of a commandment. And you take a look at this week's first reading, it's the 10 Commandments, book of Exodus. And just as we know that we shouldn't bow before other idols, and we realize when we're young, we take a look at golden idols and we go, that should be pretty obvious to, stay away from. But we realize that maybe our idolizing might be something else, anything else that we put before our relationship with God. And then we realize that this reading here is as much about our own temples and maybe what are those tables around our temple that we've allowed to be set up that shouldn't be there. And Jesus looks at you and he looks at me and he sees those tables and he just wants to throw them down and wants to whip away and say, no, not with these temples, not with these people I love. And this resonates with me. It's another call for the examination of conscience. And of course, during Lent, don't forget, confession times are extended. Our music this week is the Lenten hymn, God of Mercy and Compassion. For those of you who have been wanting something to sound like Lent, this is the lentiest song that we have. It's a gorgeous hymn, comes to us from an ancient French melody that was adapted by the Italian composer Giovanni Battista Pergolesi in the early 18th century. He lived a relatively short life. He died at the age of 26. But in that time, he was able to become a very well-known composer of operas, sacred music, and violin works as well. His setting is almost always the one that gets paired with Father Edmund Vaughn's text of God of mercy and compassion. Father Vaughn was a Redemptorist priest, and after his ordination in Belgium, he quickly went back to England to do mission work and then set up a monastery in Scotland, the first one after the Reformation. And then he went and did some mission work in Australia and New Zealand before being called back home to England in the 1890s. Throughout his life, he translated many works and is credited with several hymns, and this one being the most famous. So, this week, the music ministry of Christ the King offers for you the beautiful haunting melody and moving lyrics of God of mercy and compassion.
God of mercy and compassion, look with pity upon me. Father, let me call thee Father, 'tis thy child returns to thee. Jesus, Lord, I ask for mercy, let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest them, never will I sin again. By my sins I have deserved death and endless misery. Hell with all its pains and torments, and for all eternity. Jesus, Lord, I ask for mercy, let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest them, never will I sin again. By my sin I have abandoned right and claim to heaven above, where the saints rejoice forever in a boundless sea of love. Jesus, Lord, I ask for mercy, let me not implore in vain. All my sins I now detest them, never will I sin again. See our Savior bleeding, dying on the cross of Calvary. To that cross my sins have nailed him, yet he bleeds and dies for me. Jesus, Lord, I